Sean Levine will step into the cage with Brendan Tobin in Are You Gonna Fight Me?
I'm gonna fight your ass!
Here on Tapped Out.
That's right, fight me like a man!
Only on the BetQL network.
You know the rules. I want a good, clean fight. When I tell you to break, I want you to step back up my command and break. Now go back to the corner and come out fighting at the bell.
Welcome into hour number 2. Tapped Out is the name of the show. That's right. Tapped Out here on the BetQL network with Jake Milliken, with Brendan Tobin, on the sports machine, Sean Levine. But I don't give a damn who these guys are, because right now we're about to throw down a segment called You're Gonna Fight Me. We've been talking a lot about Poatan Pereira. He's the scariest guy in the UFC right now. We've also been talking a lot about Stylebender because he's half of tonight's main event, UFC 305. Adesanya is going to be fighting Dracus Du Plessis right now at BetMGM. That fight's a pick'em. You're going to fight me if I say, I think that Adesanya versus Pereira is the best current UFC rivalry. If we're talking about both guys still being in the UFC. So, you can't go way back and you can't just say, well, what about Conor McGregor? Because I'm not sure that he's really a fighter at this point. Is there a better rivalry right now than Pereira-Adesanya?
Man, ooh, that's a good one. Better rivalry right now between anybody besides those two. Trying to think. Welterweight. I mean, yeah, the only thing I can think of really, and it's kind of a reach, would just say, like, I guess if Kamaru and Colby still fought, like if they fought a third time, like those guys obviously hate each other's guts.
Does Colby still fight?
I don't know. I mean, like, that's where I'm reaching to, but no, nothing comes off the mind. Like, that is probably the most, like if you told me those guys were fighting for a trilogy, like, yeah, it's probably the number one that you'd have to go to for sure.
I was only kind of joking, by the way. What we talk about, where's Usman? Where's is he going to be if he loses? Where is Colby? Both literally and figuratively. I've heard him talk about Wonder Boy. I've heard him talk about Usman again. He's always talking. I don't think Colby just disappeared. It's crazy.
It is. I mean, like, but his last performance was not very good. And so,
Izzy's.
Yeah, but like Izzy's been the champion. Like Izzy's a long reigning champion. Like there's a difference there. Like Colby, I think everybody's like, how many times do you get a crack at the belt? And then how many times when you keep getting worse, how does that keep going?
No, I completely understand. And he's definitely not at the peak of his game. I just feel bad saying a couple of years ago on this show that I thought that he would have been a long reigning champion if it wasn't for Kamaru Usman. I said that he should be top 10, the pound for pound, that he was wildly underrated. And then I saw him go out there and fight, and I had to eat my words. So I'm just, dude, go out there and do something.
Would you say Bilal Leon? Like, did that have enough juice to you that but the fight was too lopsided to care about a rematch, right? Because those guys really didn't seem to like each other.
To see Bilal fight Leon again? Yeah, no, I'm good. Everybody's good on that. We were good the first time around. Nobody wanted to see that. And now that Bilal is the champion, I think the UFC is going to do everything they can not to give him a rematch, but to see somebody else beat him. Who that guy is, I don't know. I was wildly impressed with Bilal that night. Speaking of rivalries, how about the best all-time UFC rivalry? You're going to fight me? I actually think it's John Jones and DC. You going to fight me?
Yeah, that's the way I was going to go. Like before you said it, I was thinking John Jones, DC. I mean, Conor Nate is pretty iconic. Conor, Dustin Poirier. A lot of Conors in there. Conor Khabib is obviously a great one, which, by the way, it sounds like Khabib is all squared up with Russia. So congratulations to him.
He paid off the $3 million. He's good.
That's what I saw floating around. I mean, it might be fake. It's tough to know what's real on MMA Twitter anymore, but if it is real, congrats to Khabib. I wouldn't want Putin coming after me either.
No, I wouldn't want any government coming after me, particularly that one when they're looking for your money. Yeah, I mean, what about Bisping and Luke Rockhold? That was a fun one.
That's a good one.
Chuck
Yeah.
Liddell?
Iconic. Yeah, I was sadly at the press conference for them when remember when they fought under Oscar De La Hoya banner? Remember that when Oscar De La Hoya was trying to get an MMA? Yeah, I wasn't at the fight, but I was at the launch press conference for it.
Okay. All right. How about Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva?
Iconic, of course, just went to the Hall of Fame.
Hendo and Michael Bisping. These are all at the top of the dome, by the way. This is how I roll.
Yeah. Another great one, dude.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
killing it right now. None of them better than
Thank you.
Jones DC though. Jones DC is a real bitterness.
Garbrandt and
TJ,
Faber versus TJ, or you could throw, there's a lot. How about we didn't give the ladies enough love? Hey, ladies, what about Ronda Rousey and Misha Tate?
that's probably as good personally between two fighters that you've mentioned. Like there's a genuine dislike there.
Ooh, still not as good as John Jones and DC. I think John Jones and
No.
DC at a time hated each other more than any of these other guys, including Connor and Khabib, because that felt, I don't want to say fabricated, but it just got a little bit out of control.
Well, let me ask you this.
I'm listening.
It's been a very, very venomous lead up to this fight. Are you going to fight me if I say there's a chance that Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis could be as heated a rivalry as John Jones versus DC?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to fight you on that one. I'm coming out throwing elbows, all the stuff that I got, because if Israel Adesanya loses this fight, and we'll get to the method of the madness here coming up in a little while. I'll tell you if I think he's going to lose the fight, how it's going to go down. I'm very curious which way you're going. If he loses, he's in no man's land. If Israel Adesanya loses tonight, this is painful for me to say. I love Stylebender. I've got a picture of Stylebender behind me. I think there's a good chance that he never fights for the belt again. Now, you talked about a roundabout way to get back to the belt, I suppose, which would be to fight Poatan again, especially if Alex Pereira at that point is holding on to all the belts. We'll just figure out what weight class and make it work type thing. But we've already seen that happen a couple of times in the UFC, happened a couple of times before they even got in the UFC octagon. So as interested as you and I are in seeing that fight, if Izzy loses, I don't know if the promotion is going to make that fight. So I understand why Izzy was crying. I understand why he was so emotional. I think he sees the finish line. But I think as much as this is a real rivalry, in his head, he's making it out to be a rivalry because that's what he needs to do at this point in his career to not motivate himself, but he's got to hate the guy across from him at 30. How old is he? 35 years old, Israel Adesanya, to stay at this, I guess, energy level if he's going to not just win tonight, but keep that belt. So in a long-winded, roundabout, confusing way, I'm going to say no. I don't see any way. Do you? Unless it's an unbelievable fight, we'll do it again.
I actually, first of all, I think it could be a really, really great fight, and you're only going with the cap.
No matter how it goes down, Strickland's got the next fight.
That's fine though. Like you don't have to do the fight. You don't have to do an instant rematch for it to be a good rivalry. Like DDP could go and he could lose a well fought decision and then have to be on the sidelines for a little bit. I think the crazy thing will be like, can Izzy get past Strickland? Because that was almost, that was such a lopsided gulf that he's got to overcome. But I'd say there's a lot of career stakes parallels to this and the rematch versus Poatan, because if he didn't win against Pereira the second time around, who knows? We could have been having all these discussions a year earlier. And there was definitely some emotional stuff, but it just felt more like he was really bothered that he couldn't beat this guy. And this guy, there's genuine bad blood because like you're going after my culture, you're going after the way I grew up, you're going after my family. There's a venom here that Izzy is bringing to the table. So if they do have a very competitive fight and it warrants a rematch, either not immediately or down the road, I could see it getting there. I don't know if anything's ever going to be brawl in the Mandalay Bay or MGM, wherever the hell there was, and telling you I would literally spit in your face. Like that's, you're talking about the creme de la creme. I don't know if maybe I'm just bringing an Outback sirloin. I don't know what I'm bringing to the table here, but I think it's a pretty, as far as personal hate goes, it's pretty strong, these two.
It was a better cut than an Outback sirloin, which you brought. It was just, it definitely wasn't the prime filet, I can tell you that much. Are you going to fight me if I say Sean Strickland would beat either one of these guys anyway? I mean, he beat up Israel Adesanya. It basically 4 out of the 5 rounds. It was dominating. And in the fight against DDP, a lot of people think that Sean Strickland won that fight. You're going to fight me if I say Strickland gets the winner next and Strickland beats the winner next and gets his belt back.
I'm not going to fight you. Like, look, he's looked great against both of these. I mean, he blew out Izzy. Izzy is we don't know how this one stylistically is going to go for Izzy. I mean, he may go and he may kick DDP into the bleachers. We don't know. So that'll be an interesting one. But yeah, they had I thought Strickland won against DDP. I had my money on Strickland, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I thought that Sean Strickland should have gotten his hand raised and should still be champion at this point. So look, Sean Strickland has found his groove. He has taken, since the loss to Pajeda and getting, turned into a internet meme, the guy's been fantastic. You cannot deny his results. He's been a really, really good fighter, and he's been fighting at an elite level.
Ironically, since he cut his hair, he's been a great fighter. And then there's a guy that hasn't cut his hair in a while, and Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's got a fight coming up against Merab Dvalishvili at the Sphere. I think that's going to be an absolute spectacle. You're going to fight me if I say, and I love Merab. He is the machine. I am the machine. You're going to fight me if I say, I'm not sure, though, Merab is that much better than Aljamain Sterling.
I'm gonna fight you just because I think it's a possibility. Like, this is one of those tough things because he is definitely voluntarily been in the shadows. Like, we don't know, because he was a good friend and he was letting his guy be in the spotlight and was, letting Aljo shine. But he has looked as dominant as anybody in the sport. I mean, he's not looked like anybody can stand with him. Now, this is definitely different because Sean is a different looking bantamweight and is a bigger bantamweight by height and reach. So he's got a big challenge in front of his hands. But I think he's a better striker, and I think that he's almost more relentless in a lot of ways. I think that the only thing that I think Aljo has on him is the danger of the submission. Like, Aljo's so vicious with those neck cranks and being around you like a boa constrictor. But, as far as just motor and being able to push the pedal all the way through, Merab's as good as it gets when it comes to that. By the way, as an aside, one of the top heckler attackers there is in the sport. Like, because do you remember there's a video from I guess they were doing a press conference, like one of those Q&As, and he ran into the stands and like they had to go catch him because he was grabbing somebody's hair. But do you remember the one where he tried to run up, where he literally was trying to go up scale like Spider-Man because somebody was heckling him from the top of a tunnel, and he's like, "What did you say?" And like he's climbing up there like he's a superhero. Do not heckle this man. Do not heckle this man, because he's going to come after you.
No, don't mess with the machine. I've been saying that for a long, long time. He got into it with somebody literally yesterday. Did you not see that video? Like, yeah, he's always ready to throw down Merab, and he's got a great jacket also. What's your early lead in that fight, by the way? I feel like you're going to take Merab against Sean O'Malley. That's silly.
No, I'm not. I'm actually taking O'Malley. I am taking O'Malley.
Taking O'Malley. Okay.
I am taking O'Malley in that fight.
I'm
too worried about I'm too worried about the reach, the strike. I'm worried about how Merab gets in there and is able to grab him. Now, I may look like an idiot in the first round, and he may truck him and dump him on his head, because that's what Merab does. But I'm worried about him trying to get in through the buzzsaw before he gets there.
Hey, Jake, take the microphone here for a minute. Producer Jake Noaker joining us here on the BetQL Network. Jake, you going to fight me if I say the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to make the playoffs this year?
Wow. No, there's no fight there. That's a stupid take. That doesn't even make sense. I don't even think that's a popular take. Like, even if that's just being edgy of you, it just doesn't make sense. So no, there's no fight. You just made yourself sound stupid on live radio.
What if the Commanders, though, the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, what if they are the NFC Houston Texans this year?
Who?
Like,
Jake,
they got to
who?
Jake, I know I upset you, Jake. Jake, I know you're a funny man all of a sudden, that I hit a nerve there. Remind me how many games those Philadelphia Eagles won the second half of the football season last year. It was one, right? One.
We're talking about practice.
Football season. They won,
not a game.
They won
Practice.
Game. We're talking about a game. Yeah,
and
practice. And then the playoffs came around, and I remember they lost to Baker Mayfield. That's how I remember it. Again, I did a lot of stuff in college I probably shouldn't have done. Maybe my memory is completely shot. So you tell me I'm an idiot for asking if Philly's going to make the playoffs or not. I'm going to
wait and see.
And
all I got to say.
And by the way, it also seems that the coach and the quarterback hate each other's guts.
That's not
true. False reports. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Let me work on the show.
Is it false reports? I don't know. It comes out of nowhere, huh?
PT, you're going to fight me if I say the Dolphins are going to have the best offense in the NFL? 50 points a game? All right, 40 points a game? 38.
I'm not going to fight you. I'm not gonna fight you, but I'm not gonna act here and say I'm not scared of all of those winter destinations in December. Like that is like I'm like, oh come on, Cleveland, Green Bay, and New York, all of them in December. Like you couldn't have given any of these games. Like we couldn't have gotten back end on any of this schedule. They are like, listen, Tua better have those hand warmers and a parka ready because they're gonna have all doubts about how the Dolphins can run in elements are going to have to be answered this year.
I think you forgot to mention Kansas City in January for the AFC Championship game, but I'm sure that was just a Freudian slip.
You're counting chickens.
On the other side, he's got a fight tonight against Matisse Gamrot. Gamrot's a heavy favorite. Dan Hooker is the underdog, but before he steps in the octagon, you can hear him right here on Tapped Out.